Hey V, you know what?
What's up, man?
Postpod.
Yeah, we're back.
I was trying to think of a fun way to surprise you with that, but
You almost got me
I
there. I'm just
honestly
like,
was, yeah, I honestly, I was driving home yesterday thinking, how can I surprise V with this? It's so stupid.
you got me.
Surprise.
Surprise. No,
So Emmanuel,
assemblage.
Assemblage is a French. Yeah, I heard somebody else when we were doing research. I was listening to another podcast, and I think it is like assemblage is like if you were
Is
to
it?
say it with a
Okay,
French accent, probably. But yeah, assemblage.
probably.
Great conversation.
I really enjoyed that conversation. I think
Yeah,
a lot of topics we covered were very relevant to what we're
totally.
seeing today in the market, and uh, the I think if you think about the premise of how he's kind of come up with the idea, and to call the book that, the idea of being a winemaker, you're using all
Yeah.
these different ingredients. I think it actually is. It's a great analogy to
Hmm.
building a brand. It's really, well, it made me thirsty. I wanted wine early on in
Me
the night.
too.
We're recording this at like 7:30 in the morning, but probably a little too soon
Yeah,
to dip
maybe
into the bottle there.
it's 12 o'clock
But
somewhere.
right, I mean, but I think there's a lot of great content in this book, and I know we as we typically do,
Yeah.
we don't stick to our script at all. But I think that's what the power here is. Like it just spurs so many different ideas, different thoughts, and I was very grateful for Manuel spending this time with us today.
Same. Especially because we haven't talked about. I mean, there's some like the Bud Light one is a big topic right
It's
now.
a huge topic.
And Barbie, I actually, it's relevant, timely right now, but it's also
Yeah.
a really interesting case study. And
Mm-hmm.
then throwing in the Vaseline example and throwing in the Clorox example. I mean, or even the Dolce and Gabbana one. Like,
Dolce Gabbana.
yeah, the one that um, I was thinking about while we were talking about uh, Barbie, I think it was, or
Mm.
maybe Bud Light. I had seen a guy named Jonathan Mendenhall, I think is his name. Anyway,
Okay.
he was the CMO for Coke at one point.
Okay.
He was at a conference that I was at. Um, Super smart guy, really interesting, really engaging speaker. But part of his conversation or part of his talk was saying how when he took over the brand, Coke, I guess, has this like library. I can imagine. I mean, they've been around for a long time. They're everywhere. Like
Yeah.
they were
They're
the first
everywhere.
soft drink in space. So
There you
you know what I mean. So they're,
go.
but he went through the library and just looking at archives for hours on end for months and months and months, just looking to see what the heritage was all about.
Right.
And so it was interesting because I remember at the time he found an image from, I can't remember how long ago it was, but it was a long time ago, where there's mixed race of kids sitting on a park bench all drinking Coke
Mm-hmm.
and smiling and laughing. And so for him, that gave him the permission to be able to launch into something more relevant at the time. I think I saw him during, I don't know. I can't remember. There was a polarizing moment in cultural history that when I
Mm-hmm.
was speaking to, or when he was speaking, and so he was able to use that history to be able to modernize the brand
Yeah.
because they had done it before and it wasn't such a huge stretch. And so the way he took inspiration from how they did it in the past to how they could apply their messaging to the future. And so I think there's often a lot of time, and you mentioned this too, the heritage component. Like there's so much. James Bond is, that was another example. There's a lot
That's a
of,
great example.
yeah, there's a lot of things that we should be learning from the past and not just throw it out. And
Yeah.
because we're new and we want to take over and put our stamp on something, that's a huge risk and probably a red flag.
You know what? And the one question that we had there, and I'm happy we were able to get to it, was around the idea of, you're coming into an organization, you want to kind of show your value. You want to quickly show, that you can be disruptive, or really kind of think on your feet. So often you're always thinking about a rebrand, or trying to bring in something new, a new flavor, or
Yeah.
to what's already been there. But I think it's important, as brand stewards as we are, that we have to, I don't want to say we have to pay homage to, but we do have to spend time, like you referenced there, the Coca-Cola rep, like you spend time to understand what is this brand that you've just come into. And for brands that don't have that heritage, then it's probably, you can be a little more malleable, especially at the beginning, and you can test and test again and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. But if we look at Bud Light, again, I don't want to say from a marketing perspective, it was the wrong approach to thinking of, hey, how can we come into this forefront and be a little bit different and reposition
Mm-hmm.
ourselves? I don't think that's wrong. But was there enough time spent on understanding who the core customer is,
Right.
and bringing in a transgender spokesperson? Would it have, maybe polarized more than what they anticipate? Well, obviously it did, but
Yeah.
if someone had done the research prior to, maybe it wasn't the right thing. Maybe there was another approach instead.
Yeah.
So you swung for the fences, you missed. Now what? Right.
Yeah.
And I think to see what this recovery is going to look like is going to be a case study in of itself.
Totally. Well, yeah, I agree. And there's um there's so much around like the idea of stewardship that I think is important. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not about you,
No,
it's about them, like the
I'm with
customers.
you. Yeah.
And so I think Emmanuel mentioned it too, but um, you're not your customer. Or
No.
maybe you are, but you're one.
Yeah.
So it's really important to go understand who the customers actually are
Mm-hmm.
and what their mindset is, because you're a or you and we
Mm-hmm.
are survey of one, and we're in our own bubbles. And so if we make our ideas and our opinions the de facto truth for the whole consumer base, you're
A lot of
you're
trouble.
really putting yourself at risk. Yeah, that's a
100%.
bad spot to be. And so, again, like this comes back to customer research, and Emmanuel mentioned it too at the end there, but like it really is important to have a really clear understanding of what people perceive your brand to stand for, and use that as your basis of making decisions, as opposed to like my
I
impression
agree.
of what other people think.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I don't know. I love to spend a little time just on purpose a little bit as well. I know
Yeah.
we asked Emmanuel, kind of his take. And I don't remember who else we've had kind of a at length conversation just around purpose. But I think it's another important thing to highlight here again is, you know, don't force purpose into your brand if there isn't a natural um, or a direct line to it, because it becomes, I guess, not authentic.
Yeah.
And when you think about the consumer and the power that they have, like Vaseline, if they're up 1% just because someone posted a video, it's like as a part of their nighttime routine.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, there's probably nobody in Vaseline that ever thought, hey, maybe we have a play here to kind of in this kind of space, because Vaseline is used for. She said, I don't know what Vaseline is used for. To be honest with you, because for me, it's like Vicks. It's a
Yeah,
completely different thing. But anyways,
totally.
so it's just one of those things for, you know, be when you're thinking about purpose and how to breathe that or build that into your
Yeah.
organization. It still goes back to understanding what the heritage of your brand is, and
Yeah,
then what is how do you draw that correct line to a direct line to.
totally. Well, and to your point too, like I think purpose, it's such a weird word. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of weird words in marketing and branding.
Yeah.
Like so there was research, I think it was 2 years ago, that came out from Peter Field. Uh
Hmm.
guy did one and a half of the long and short of it. Really interesting research. The fundamental The primary objective was to find out if purpose-led brands perform better than non-purpose-led brands.
Mm-hmm.
The primary finding is they don't, they perform worse.
Mm-hmm.
When he peels back away the brands that were purpose-led that did well, there's things you can learn from there.
Mm-hmm.
Patagonia would be one where I think,
Right. Right.
they're a purpose-led brand, but their purpose is also their mission and to some degree their vision. And that's
Yeah.
where I think there's a lot of weird words in marketing. I think we have to be clear on what we mean by our purpose. In the case
Yeah.
of Barbie, maybe their purpose, and I don't know what it is offhand, but their purpose, their mission, their vision could be about just inspiring girls
Yeah.
to be the best version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the same thing as the mission. Maybe that's the same thing as the vision. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't also have to be, oh yeah, and we saved the whales.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
with
think
you.
you have to strap on or bolt on like some ESG related purpose just to be relevant. I think you can still do that because it's the right thing to do for a business, but it doesn't have to be the thing that you're, hinging your brand on and anchoring that ESG related greenwashing kind of messaging onto your brand to be relevant.
Exactly. And it goes back to what Emmanuel was saying, brands claiming a purpose versus brands demonstrating a purpose. And I
Right.
think that that is a very simple way of looking at it to say, okay, how does this fit? I also liked another thing that he said was just brands no longer are static. So, and I think that probably has been accelerated. I don't think brands were ever really static. I think there was
Yeah.
always an evolution to it. But if you think about in the point of acceleration that social is added to that,
Mm-hmm.
and you were talking about like the hey
Mm-hmm.
like on the other side,
Yeah.
and it's almost real time that you're getting that
Yeah.
feedback. I think you have to almost make sure that you're standing up the brand the right way that can be flexible enough in those instances to
Mm-hmm.
allow for that conversation to happen both ways. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just, it's a
Well,
fascinating time.
it is, and it like to your point, the signal versus the noise, and like what is
Mm,
signal, what is noise, and having a clear understanding of that. And I think that's where, again, vision, mission, purpose, whatever. Fuck, those words really bother me. Like,
I'm with you.
it's
I'm
so
with you.
frustrating to me because makes things so much more confusing. I don't think you need all of it, first of all,
No,
but let's say you pick one as your thing. Oh, you got a
I'm
heck
getting
of a
like
sunlight
blinded
there.
over here. It's like, I'm gonna go move over here,
Yeah.
move over there. Sorry.
Um, no, but I think the call response thing, like to identify the signal and noise, if you do have a vision,
Yeah,
then it helps you understand what is signal and what is noise. And so it's
I'm with you.
attractive and it's a potentially addictive and alluring to go after this real time kind of thing, but you don't have to. But you do need to have a methodical uh, approach or march forward towards your vision.
Yes.
And so that is helping you change over time, but it doesn't have to be like from one instant to the next to the next to the next, because then that just makes you schizophrenic.
I'm, I'm with you. A strong vision really is that, like the mirror that you hold up against your face and you say, okay, what am I doing in this moment? And if you have something that is so strong, then it should be able to allow you to navigate a lot of these, these noises that are happening constantly
Hmm.
around us. And let's not forget, like we're as marketers, we're always looking for the next best thing. We're always intrigued. We're naturally curious beings. So it's easy for us to see something new and be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Let's go.
Yeah.
Um, but is it? And I know we talked about the metaverse a few times, but it's those things that will come across our desks or our
Hmm.
feeds, and we're like, oh, maybe we should be thinking about this. But how do we just take a moment and say, well, yes, this could be something, but if our purpose or our vision is to do this,
Yeah.
this doesn't fit. So
Yeah.
let's not do that.
Yeah. There, like part of the one of the things we didn't talk to him about, but uh, was he's got some really fun, interesting examples in his book. One is DJ Khaled, Picasso,
Mm.
Snoop Dogg, and Martha Stewart. I think those are all in his book. DJ Khaled for sure, and Picasso were for sure. But um, when we're talking about the brands themselves and distinctiveness,
Hmm.
DJ Khaled I thought was a good one because he's got that. Like I always find him funny. Like DJ Khaled, we the best music, but like that's it. He just pops that into songs every now and then.
And
Like
he's done.
yeah, but he's got like the group of people around him are always changing, but that's consistent from song to song to song. And
Yeah,
so
that's a
like
great point.
in some ways, the way you're repurposing the brand or changing to the category entry points
Mm.
or the moments of truth, those create new opportunities for the brand. But the
Hmm.
brand elements, the look, the feel, the logo, product itself, they don't necessarily need to change, but you can adjust, the group of people around you, like,
Yeah.
the other rappers, but still do your "we the best."
I love the example of DJ Khaled. It's consistent. Obviously, he has all these different people and artists that he's constantly working for, but he has a very distinct asset, and it's
Hmm.
I'm not going to pretend to try to do it. So
I'll just be the goofball
everybody
that
needs to
does
hear
it. Yeah. Anyway, it's yeah, there's a lot of interesting things in there to dig into. This is great, V.
Yeah, man. Emmanuel, if you're listening, thank you again for spending that time with us today. It was a great conversation. We really appreciated your insights.
Yeah. And V, until next time, adieu.
Well, actually,
Oh wait,
summer
what?
break.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do the summer. Oh yeah, we are.
We should let people know.
We're taking August off.
We're taking August off. We're tired.
Mm.
we have
Need to
we're finishing
recharge.
up. We need to recharge. We're just wrapping up our EMBA, and we're going to take some time away from the mics. But we do have a full schedule coming back in September. We'll be trying some new formats, and I think you're all going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think we have
You think?
2 more before we take the break that are going to go live. 1 or 2 more.
Do we?
Anyway,
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
I think you're right. Actually,
at least 1. But either
at
way,
least one. I think we
we're
have
taking
one.
August off. That's not going to change.
That's not changing. That's awesome. All right, buddy. This is great.
Take it easy.
Yeah, man. You too.